shining sea. I've seen a lot of places and people that were nice to me. One place that's in my heart, and this is how I feel. I'm talking about my hometown, Fayetteville. She's nestled in the sand hills on a river called Cakefield. Special to so many who proudly served our country here. She was named for Lafayette and known for cotton mills. I'm talking about my hometown, Fayetteville. My hometown, Fayetteville. I'm so proud to be from here. It don't take long when you're away from home to find out how you feel. It's always good to come home to Fayetteville. Babe Ruth hit his first one, heard around the world. Sherman marched with the Union and burned the arsenal. Old Market House still standing, but stands for freedom's will. I'm talking about my hometown, Fayetteville. My hometown, Fayetteville. I'm so proud to be from here. It don't take long when you're away from home to find out how you feel. It's always good to come home to Fayetteville. My all-American city, Fayetteville. Talking about my hometown, Fayetteville.
Well, good evening, everyone. We'd like to welcome you to the Tuesday, May 26th Fayetteville City Council meeting. Welcome you all who are joining us by Zoom or Facebook or social media. We welcome you. At this time, we will have the... Okay. At this time, we will call the meeting to order. We will have the invocation, which is item 2.0. We'll ask that Pastor and Councilmember Davis, if you could, give us our invocation. If we could please stand for that, after which, if you could please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let's bow our heads. Gracious Father, we thank you for this day that you've given us. We thank you for an opportunity to come again in your presence on behalf of the beautiful citizens of Fayetteville. Give us wisdom and with that knowledge and understanding, so that we might take seriously the business that is before us on tonight. We thank you for this nation that we have and for all of those who continue to serve for the benefit of our upkeep. God, right now, bless those soldiers who are far away, and we thank you for the sacrifice that has been made on behalf of liberty and freedom. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Davis. So if you could, we know you pretty well, but tell us about your other life as pastor, shepherd of a flock. Tell us about your ministry.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much for an opportunity to speak again. I'm senior pastor with my wife at Force of Life Fayetteville, located at 2415 Gary Street. Our premise, our tenets are Faith Family Fellowship. We are a ministry that's about doing the work in the community, and we do take seriously the pandemic we're going through right now. We thank the governor, you, and all of the other pastors who are standing on the wall, who are praying for everyone who's going through this hard time. And now more than ever, we need to be united as a people of faith. And I believe we'll see the greatness of our Lord manifested in the next upcoming months. So anytime you want to fellowship, check us out. Force of Life Fayetteville, 2415 Gary Street. And we'll love to fellowship with you. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Item 4.0 is the announcements and recognitions. And the announcement, we have an update. Council has started over the last several council meetings of having a regular update from our emergency management coordinator, Mr. Scott Bullard, who joins us by Zoom. Mr. Bullard, how are you, sir?
I'm good, sir. How's audio?
Audio's fine. I think we have a delay.
Very good, sir. I'll take that into account. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Council, and all who are tuned in on this Tuesday, the 26th of May. This is the 72nd day of our state of emergency, and it puts us day 4 into phase 2 of the governor's plan. On this day, we have 24,140 positive cases of COVID-19. 621 are hospitalized across the state, and 766 have died from the illness. In Cumberland County, that's 607 positive cases and 18 deaths. On a bright note, we're told from our friends at Cape Fear Valley in a meeting earlier today that they saw a drop over the weekend of hospitalized patients, which is a wonderful piece of good news during this process. I think they were down to about a dozen inpatients, and they've kind of bumped along somewhere in the range of maybe as high as 19 on a given day. And I think they said today they're somewhere in the 14 range, which we're blessed to have the care that we have, and we've had a good experience, minus the medical surge that all suspected. Just some things that we need to be mindful of. This came out on Friday, and I think it got lost in the holiday, but I invite you to look with your browser online at a website that was established through North Carolina State University's Extension Service and other partners in the restaurant business called Count on Me NC. This is an educational piece and an outreach piece that will help our different businesses that are opening up by providing them training, which can be done online at the point in front of their browser and computer. They can get credit for it. They can print a certificate, but there's also a similar interface there for the customer to acknowledge that they understand the rules of social distancing and where we're at right now, and they can be informed. So I invite you and anybody you run across, urge them to look at Count on Me NC, and that will continue to expand as we go forward. I guess one other piece that everybody's anxiously watching and waiting for at the state level, through the Office of State Management and Budget, a pandemic recovery office. They're affectionately calling the PRO office, PRO for Pandemic Recovery Office, is working on the COVID virus relief fund process. And with staff, we're anxiously awaiting what that might hold for not only reimbursement of what we might have already spent, and also our plans to finish the protective measures and reopening process. And that's something that we'll keep you informed on, that we're watching very closely. And I think the commissioners will take some action later in the week, because the money was routed down through the counties, and we'll have more to report back to council very soon, we hope. I will remain subject to any questions you might have. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Bullard. Councilman Wright has a question. Council, remember, I can't see your buttons, so I need your hand.
Thank you, Mr. Bullard. Just have one question. Have any homeless tested positive for the COVID-19 as of yet?
None that I'm aware of, sir, and I would have to say the final word on that is public health. But the last I heard is that they had one potential person in the hotel block of rooms that they had reserved for the worried well and the sick. but I do not know what the status is on that. We actually have a meeting tomorrow afternoon to update that process.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Council, any other questions for Mr. Bullitt? Mr. Bullitt, seeing none, we certainly appreciate your information and thank you for the hard work you and your team have performed. You performed very well during this pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and count on me, NC.
Yes, sir. All right. All right. So, Council, under the announcements, I'll go to Councilwoman Ingram.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So first, as always, census is still happening. Please make sure you complete the census. It is prime time. I know we're going back to work, but we'll be seeing a much need to get our census done. Employers that are opening back up, if you can find the time to talk to your employees about completing the census, you can start by going online to my2020census.gov. They have 13 languages available, and calling 1-844-330-2020. They also have 13 languages available. And also, another announcement that I would like to make is congratulations to the class of 2020. I'm wearing my Fayetteville State pin and my Fayetteville Cumberland Youth Council pin, and so all of the individuals who have graduated recently under this pandemic, congratulations to you all from myself and everyone here in this room, council, city staff. Congratulations to you all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other announcements? Recognition? All right. Well, Council, seeing that's it. At this time, Council, just before we go to item 5.0, I'd like to just remind everyone tonight that we're back. Those who are joining us in the listening audience, we are practicing social distance, so that means that we're somewhat offset from our normal seating areas. I will not be able to see you with your buttons, so please, if you're to be recognized, please raise your hand, and we'll make sure that we list it in the order in which you give us notice. Also, Council, we ask that you please, we'll practice parliamentary procedure rules to govern tonight's meeting. Just ask that you please be recognized before speaking. We'll try to limit our discussion to 2 rounds per, and as we go through it, I will kind of ask that we would have a question that's in our commentary. So with that being said, we'll move to item 5.0 is the approval of the agenda. I understand that at the conclusion of our Wednesday meeting, Council kind of gave a consensus regarding an item reference to a resolution that would be in relations to the food beverage taxes. And I think I'll go to the manager at this time as to, I don't really see this item listed on the agenda. Mr. Manager, did you have something you were asking of Council tonight?
Actually, Mayor, there are 2 items that the council may wish to consider tonight. One of them, as you mentioned, is the adoption of a resolution to support legislative action to direct a shared allocation of food and beverage tax proceeds between the city and between Cumberland County and its municipalities. I think you all have a copy of that. Today as well, we received a copy of the bill that was filed by Representative Floyd, and I think it was also sponsored by Representative Zoka, and but I don't see those on here, but that's what you have in front of you as well. You have the bill, you have the breakdown of the occupancy tax from 2017, which we shared with you last week, which shows that Fayetteville is the only municipality that does not receive any of these shared revenues. And you have an updated resolution from the one that the council adopted previously, which I think the end-all be-all here is that before the General Assembly takes any action, you're asking to sit down with the Cumberland County Commissioners and to see if you can strike a balance. And so with that, Council, Mayor, this is available for Council to act on tonight, as well as the
happy to take any questions about that or pivot to the other item, which is an amendment to the emergency bridge loan contract. And is Chris here? Could you come up for just a moment? I could, Mayor, would like for him to explain why this request is before the council, and if council chooses not to take this up tonight, we are having a budget work session on Thursday, and there's an opportunity for council to waive the rules or for us to do a special meeting on Thursday, right, but at the same time as the budget work session for you to consider action on this. But Chris, if you could.
Sure. Good evening, Mayor, Council.
Hi, sir.
So at the last business committee meeting, SEED presented their progress so far in rolling out the program. So as of Friday, they had actually paid out $30,000 to businesses. Wow. They've got several applications pending. They've been working with folks. But what they found is that our contract was a little restrictive in regards to Chapter 13 bankruptcy that had happened prior and any charge-offs to their credit report. So what SEED has asked is for council to consider amending the contract slightly to give SEED the discretion to work with businesses who have positive credit growth after a Chapter 13 bankruptcy and loan them the minimum amount of $2,500.
Okay. Thank you. Councilwoman Waddell?
Thank you, Mayor Colvin. I understand that SEED presented to the business committee. Will SEED be also presenting to the entire council? Because my understanding was that we'd be getting a weekly update. So will we be getting that via email, via a presentation? How will the entire council be getting that update from SEED?
We can, yes, ma'am, we'd be happy to do that. Happy to do that via email.
Okay. Thank you. Councilman Hare?
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I was going to speak to the young, I can speak with you. Whenever.
Council. So what is before us tonight, before we get too far into the items, need to find it if it's your pleasure to add the two items that are being proposed tonight. So that's the first step, and then we will roll right into the discussion. But if we could hold all of our questions till we make that decision. So whether it's tonight or whether we add it on a future agenda, ask for your pleasure on that. So, Council, if there is a consensus to add those two items that were mentioned by the city manager for discussion tonight, all those in favor, hands.
Two.
My question is the bridge loan is already on the agenda though?
It's in here.
So, Mr. Manager, what is the difference between what we will discuss and?
Because if that was a 5-year update, administrative report, then
Yeah, it's already on the agenda for tonight, the update. Right? Is it?
Yeah, I think that is administrative report, which means that it's coming to a work session. Was this specific ask included in the administrative report, Cam? I don't recall seeing.
The administrative report is on the Small Local Business Enterprise Program.
Okay, different.
That is not the emergency bridge loan.
Yeah, okay, all right. So, good, Councilwoman? All right, so council, those who are in favor of adding those items for discussion tonight, show of hands. 1, 2, 3. Okay, all right, Madam Clerk, that carries. So, council, as you approve the agenda, we need someone to make a motion to add those items, potentially, yes, item, 7.02 and 3?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we add 7.2 and 3 to the agenda tonight for discussion.
Mr. Mayor,
Ma'am?
item 7 is public hearing, so.
Probably need to do it before that, right? Or after?
We could do it on the consent agenda or under other items of business, which would be 8. it
So with
would
the
be-
consent, then we'll still have to pull it to actually talk about it
Or you
specifically.
could put it as, I think, Councilmember Wright was intending, but perhaps it should be 802.
Gotcha.
And 803.
So if we could do 802 and 3.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I make amendment to that to do 802 and 803.
All right, so council,
Sir.
there's a motion by Councilmember Wright, there's a second by Councilmember Hare to add the two additional items, items number 8.02 and 8.03. Any discussion on the motion? All right, council, I'll look to you for your vote. All right, motion carries. Items added. Item 6.0, consent agenda. Councilman Hare, you had a question on that one?
Yes, sir. I would like to pull item 6.06 to share some information with council and
Separate vote.
as a separate vote. Yes, sir.
Okay. Council, any other items under the consent agenda? Okay. Well, Councilmember Hare, would you like to make a motion with the exclusion of that, approving the?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion.
Oh, you have an item?
For that, what was that, 802, was it 802?
So 6.06 was what Councilman Hare, under the consent, we added those two items that we talked
So
about.
would that be for discussion?
That'll be at 8:02.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So I've got you down for that.
Yes, sir, Mayor. I move that we approve the agenda with the exception of pulling 6.06.
All right, there's a motion by Councilmember Hare to approve the consent items with the exception of 6.06. There's a second by Councilmember Ingram. Any discussion on the Hare-Ingram motion? All right, all those in favor? All right, Madam Clerk, motion carries unanimous. Item 6.06, Councilman Hare.
Thank you, sir. Also, I'm going to ask Dr. Newton if he could come forward and to assist me. At our last meeting, I brought to the council's attention that there was a contractor that had been hired to clean that lot there at Mobile Manor. And we also have that lot, well, we'll be moving tonight, was on the consent to put that lot as a part of the demolition recommendations. After talking with S&K Lot Cleaning over the last day or so and speaking with Mr. Dr. Newton this morning and a number of other staff members, I would like to, well, just bring into your attention that the contractor states that he can have the construction done, the demo done and the cleaning of that lot in the month of June. And after speaking with Dr. Newton, he says due to the bidding process, it would take at least 30 plus days for that process to take place. So I was going to ask for an additional 30 days, but now after having that discussion with him, and we're doing all that we can to save funds from the city, because you know the demolition comes, this demolition comes out of our city budget. If we could see what happens within this process, demolition process and bidding process, that Mr. King of S&K Demolitions would be able to get the work done. Kind of tidied that up for me.
I was just going to give you a thumbs up. I thought you did a good explanation.
Okay.
Councilmember
But just
Hare,
wanted to kind of bring that to everybody.
Councilmember Hare brought to our attention that he'd had conversations with the owners of the property, and he received information from the owners, and they provided him a copy. He in turn provided me a copy about 15 minutes ago, information from the fellow who's going to clean it up. He has a contract that has him beginning the work on June 1st. He said he needs 30 days. In that contract, it also says, and if there's weather issues, another 15. As we talked about it this morning, when we do a demolition ordinance, we use our general funds to take care of a property, and then we lien the property and we wait until it sells before we can get those funds back. The process that we'd have to go on this one, because it's a larger project than most of them, is one that we will have to send through the bidding process. In all likelihood, if they can do what they're indicating to the council member, it would not cost us. We'd be doing a good fiduciary interest of watching our funds, and it would be cleaned up.
Good work, Councilman Hare. Council, any questions for Mr. Newton or Councilman Hare? All right. Well, good job, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve 6.06 with the additional information given.
So, Councilman Hare, okay, I just need to make sure, Madam Attorney, As this is presented in the CAM, this is to suspend or rescind that motion. Is that what you're at? So you're gonna go forward with the motion?
Right.
But just stay it to give them opportunity?
Right, because
Okay.
they tell me that the process is gonna be.
I got
at
you.
least-
So we've done that before. Okay. So it's a motion by Councilmember Hare to approve item 6.06 as presented. Is there a second? Second by Councilwoman Ingram. Any discussion on the motion? All right, council, I'll look to you for your votes. All right, Madam Clerk, it's unanimous. All right. Thank you, sir. All right, council. Item 7.0 is the public hearing. Individuals desiring to speak at the public hearing must have signed up to speak with the city clerk by name and address before 7 this evening. 15 minutes will be allowed on for each side of the issue at the public hearing. Individual speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each unless by previous arrangement a single spokesperson is designated, in which case the spokesperson may use the entire 15 minutes. When the city clerk calls your name, please come to well, that's not possible tonight. But if we have any speakers who are joining us when your name is called and you're recognized, please state your name and address. When the time is indicated, you will receive a 30-second warning, meaning that you have 30 seconds remaining. At the end of your allotted time, you will be notified that your time is up. So at this time, we'll go to Mr. Freeman to present.
Good day, Mayor, City Council, Taurus Freeman, Planning and Zoning Divisional Manager. What we have before you today is the 2040 Comprehensive Plan, which includes the future land use map plan and the demographic profile. The goal of the project was to create a new future land use map and plan. It updates the 2010 land use plan that was adopted by the city and county in the early 1990s. Since that time, we have not had any progress in doing any updates to the plan. However, this plan is set to guide rezonings, infrastructure investments, and designs for new development for the upcoming years. This plan is an implementation of Goal 3 that you all set for our city's strategic plan. The future land use map is composed of 14 different studies that have been approved by you all in the past. Those studies actually helped shape what our future land use map is today. And next, we'll be discussing the planning process. This project actually began in February of 2019. District meetings took place throughout the city for the various districts to inform the public, to receive input, and actually to publicize what the city was doing regarding our plan. Primary recommendations were presented to the City Council in June of 2019. A draft plan is now actually available on our website, and also we held public meetings to help out in September of 2019. The plan focuses on a series of goals. Listed before you are 6 goals that is set forth in the plan, which will focus on growth, promote economic and commercial development in key areas, foster safe and stable and attractive neighborhoods, preserve and enhance environmental features, recognizing the strategic importance of military installations and educational institutions, and ensure development and compatibility that is complementary. And goal 6, which is to actually encourage redevelopment of strip centers within the areas. Right here is an updated future land use map. The city clerk should have emailed you all a copy of that map. We had over 100 different edits to this plan. Several being within the last week, after having conversations with other city council members. Here are some highlights from the plan itself. We look at the future I-295 interchange areas. We look at the low and medium and high density residential areas. We looked at the different scales of mixed use areas, non-residential classifications. We focused on redevelopment. We incorporated area ideas from downtown master plan and the Merkins Road area study. We looked at the policy recommendations based on character of the areas of the future land use map. Here are some of the updates that I referenced earlier. We looked at the North Ramsey corridor. We looked at the South Ramsey corridor, Stony Point area, Refi Road area, Legion Road area, and the Goodyear plant area. Most of the changes were from residential to commercial or mixed use. These were our 5 implementation recommendations. 1 was to adopt a plan and use the future land use to guide land use decisions. 2, update the city's comprehensive plan. 3, remove barriers for reinvestment and redevelopment. 4, coordinate efforts among departments to create opportunities for reinvestment in distressed areas. And 5, increase public engagement efforts in support of the goals and action steps in this document. That concludes my presentation. However, tonight staff is asking, you all have several different options regarding this plan. You can adopt it with the aforementioned map and plan. You can deny the map and plan. You can have recommendations for revisions of and adoption of the plan. Or 4th, you can remand all of or some of the aforementioned maps and plans back to staff for further review. Now, in your packet, you have a copy of the plan itself. Several of those maps, since we've been doing so many edits, we have not updated the maps in there. So those need to be updated. It's just showing the future land use map, and then it's showing several different areas, 6 different areas within the plan that needs to be modified. So if you can accept those modifications, staff recommends approval of the plan and map, as well as the demographic profile.
All right. All right. Thank you, Ms. Freeman. Before we open the public hearing, I'll go to Councilmembers Hare and Ingram and Davis.
Thank you, sir, for your report tonight. I remember when we were trying to help communities and we came up with, staff came up with the infill of zoning, whatever you want to call that. I guess it's zoning, infill zoning. Refresh my memory. I know we go in when buildings are torn down, depending on the lot size, how many more, or how dense that particular. Just refresh my mind on infill.
Infill development.
Okay.
Yeah.
So really how infill development works, if the lot is vacant and someone comes in, now they have to abide by the new regulations that are in place in the Unified Development Code ordinance itself. If the property was developed under the old ordinance, they would have to be updated. Any type of development would have to follow all the new rules and regulations.
Because you didn't say it, so let me ask, because I could be thinking wrong. Is it something in the infill development that if a house is removed or demoed and it's a large lot, how many structures can go back on that lot? Is that something in infill?
Dr.
I thought I
Newton
remember
probably
that.
expand on that a little bit more.
Perhaps what you're remembering is this idea that we do have in the comprehensive plan that talks about there are spots in our city that are underdeveloped, that there's more capacity in that. So we actually have one of the pages that shows that, and it indicates the percentage of land that is underdeveloped. So to your point, there are some lots that actually could hold 2 houses on them, but only have 1. So this sets in stages the options of wanting to encourage that infill, as you pointed out, where we have our infrastructure tight and around the utilities that already exist. So that's correct. You're remembering that part.
But that also, Doctor, depends on the lot size.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, the zoning,
Okay.
so
I just-
while this is the plan, the actual zoning has the acreage involved or the lot size, so you
thought I remembered.
remember it
Okay.
correctly.
Yeah, okay, all right, thank you, Mayor.
So
Yes, sir.
again, this is the opportunity for the public hearing, for their input, and it'll be your pleasure as to how you want to move forward with this.
Thank you. Dr. Newton, yeah, what we'll do is we'll open and close the public hearing. From what I understand, there were no speakers signed, and council, I'll go to you in the order that you have. And immediately following the opening and closing of the public hearing, I have council members Ingram, Wright, and Dawkins. So I'll call in that order. Madam Clerk, Davis. Davis, not Dawkins? No. He didn't want. All right. So, Madam Clerk, with that, we'll open the public hearing. Madam Clerk?
We have no speakers for this item.
All right. With that, we will close the public hearing. So, Councilman Member Ingram.
Mr. Freeman, where'd it go? Oh. Under the recommendations from staff, you stated before you got to the recommendations, you were saying that we could adopt. You were saying that the maps had not been updated
In the plan,
in the plan.
yes.
Go into detail of what that means.
Well, we've been doing a lot of edits, and like I stated, we've done over almost 100
Quick
edits.
question, this is a living document.
That is correct.
Okay, so with us accepting all of this, I guess my question is, will this have to come back to us for another vote, or this is a living document, it's pretty much like the UDO, where it will change over time?
That is correct. And if you approve the map and plan tonight, you are approving the future land use map, so therefore the maps will change within the document that is currently before you.
Okay, and with the maps, will we get these maps to review and vote on, or is that a need?
The map, you should already have a copy of the map.
What I'm
It's
saying,
just
you're
the maps
saying that
with-
they're gonna be changing.
The maps within the plan have not been updated.
Okay, thank you.
And those are just area maps within the plan.
Okay, but we'll get those, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilmember Wright.
Thank you for that presentation. I have a question. You mentioned Rayford Road and in your mapping. We know that the Rayford Road is due an expansion by DOT, which is really Rayford Road is 401. It's an interstate. But coming down through this corridor, a lot of the expansion is going to take some of the properties. How is that going to affect the future land use of business owners losing some of their upfront property or their property to the face? Have you guys talked with DOT about the future use of that road?
Well, we incorporated a lot of the widening projects in our determination of the future land use map itself. We've looked at, and if you look at your map here, this is Rayford Road.
Right.
So you see a lot of different colors,
Right.
but majority of those colors are for redevelopment. Those are for, and it's a commercial corridor for the most part. So you see a lot of different colors.
Yeah, some of the residents of small business owners were concerned that would impact their business. Some of them have shut down. Kind of relax our small business owners in that corridor of Rayford Road. Will that affect their livelihood or not, or how is that going to affect them in the future?
The future land use map is not changing the zoning of anyone's property. All it does is just giving you all guidance in the future growth of the city. What is already established, if it's already zoned commercial, the business is already there, this changes nothing for them. They can continue doing business, they can operate fully, and the map change has no bearing on the way they conduct their business.
Okay, even when DOT comes through and take.
Well, if DOT comes through, then some of that property could be considered Depending on the lot size, it could be there could be non-conforming lot sizes.
Right.
However, when staff gets requests for new business development, we will take that all into consideration on a case-by-case basis.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Wright. Any other questions for Mr. Freeman? All right, council, I think they're looking for some direction tonight, whether we accept the plan, understanding it's a changeable document that needs to be amended. Councilwoman Waddell?
I make a motion that we accept the plan as presented by staff, that we accept the adoption of the 2040 Comprehensive Plan, Future Land Use Map Plan, and Demographic Profile Report.
So there's a motion by Councilmember Waddell, there's a second by Councilmember Kinston. Any discussion on the motion? All right, council, I'll look to you for your votes. All right, Madam Clerk, that's unanimous. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Freeman. I know we've been working on this for a while, so I know you guys are glad to get it off your plate, huh? Item 8.01, Mr. Manager.
Good evening again, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
I will try to make this as informative and brief as we can. We'll remind you in advance and also at the end of the presentation as well, we have 3 budget work sessions scheduled to go over the budget tonight that will be presented tonight, the first of which will be this coming Thursday, and then I think every Thursday for the following 2 weeks as well. And we hope to be able to move to budget adoption with council following your public hearing in June. We're looking for adoption of the budget hopefully on June 22nd. Have a few slides that I'll try to go through, and it may be happy to take questions, but it might be beneficial too to kind of get through some of the slides first, but it's.
We'll track that, yes,
Okay.
sir.
And so in accordance with the Local Government Budget and Fiscal Control Act, it is my responsibility as manager to present to you a balanced budget. And the budget before you tonight, and also posted online, is just that, a balanced budget. This balanced budget would, if adopted by council, would span the time between July 1st of 2020 and June 30th of 2021. The proposed budget provides more than $233 million total expenditures across all funds, or $178,000 in the general fund. The spending plan represents a 2.7% increase in the general fund over the FY20 adopted budget. To support this budget, we are recommending that the tax rate remain at 49.95 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. On this slide, we go into a little bit greater detail of how we come up with, when we say across all funds. As council recalls, generally though, when we're talking about the city's budget, we primarily focus on the general fund. But in what you see here rolled up in all of these are all of the funds that we talk about across all funds. As I mentioned on the earlier slide, the general fund is an increase of $4.7 million. That includes personnel of $3.2 million for pay, bonuses, and benefits. And capital is also up in that fund for $1.2 million. And that is associated with $1.3 million of a ladder truck. The Environmental Services Fund is also increased, and we'll cover that in an additional slide coming up. The Transit Fund is also shows a slight increase. Stormwater Fund is down slightly, and that really is a reduction in transfers to capital for projects. But we'll also hope to have a budget work session with council to talk about our continuing efforts as it relates to stormwater and addressing stormwater here in our community. The other funds that you see in front of you, between the PWC Assessment Fund, LEOSA, Emergency Telephone, and Parking Fund are also shown as well. Again, across all funds, it is a 1.5% increase. So one of the things that made this year kind of interesting for us and in preparing the budget was no one anticipated COVID-19. If you had told folks that we would build a minor league baseball stadium, that we would be prepared to celebrate the opening of our downtown for a season of that as well, and that would be put on hold by some little bug that we can't even see, no one would have believed it. I mean, I don't think anyone would have seen it. And just like baseball's been delayed and other things in life have been delayed, our budget has also been delayed by COVID-19 and impacted as well. As we've shared with the council before, we believe that the revenue impacts because of COVID could range anywhere from $8 million to $10 million over the next over the current fiscal year and 2021. We also hope to use the federal funding that has been provided. To date, it is about $12.8 million, and as Scott Bullard mentioned as well, we are working with the county to try to access an additional $3.15 million. We also understood that given these unprecedented times and the economic upheaval that we're seeing in our community and across the nation, that this was not a year for us to recommend a tax rate increase. And so the tax rate again is recommended to remain the same. But we also know that our citizens value highly the services they provide. And so we've worked very hard to maintain the current service levels, as well as to fund council's strategic priorities. And one of those key priorities was making a significant investment in our public safety compensation to address recruitment and retention issues that we've discussed already. So this is a new slide that council members who were on before may not have seen when we presented the budget. This is one we added today. It actually shows our funding sources by percentage. And so you'll see that one of the largest funding source is our ad valorem property tax. Next is other governmental revenues, and other governmental revenues again are POW bill funds, PWC, utility taxes, transit grants, airport grants, and E911 funds. The next largest is sales tax proceeds, which, as we've shared with the council before, are projected to be down significantly the current fiscal year as well as some into next fiscal year as well. And then it goes on and on and on all the way till we get down to what I'd point out to you as 6% of funding sources coming from fund balance. But again, we'll have a little bit more conversation about that in a few slides. So looking at some of the revenue highlights, as I showed you here on this slide, almost 75% of the city's revenues come from those three sources, which would include ad valorem taxes, sales tax, and other governmental revenues. And so I'd like to spend a few minutes kind of walking through this. The taxable property growth that we have has had very anemic growth of 0.6% compared to the values projected in the FY20 budget. Motor vehicles and personal property values are anticipated to be impacted by COVID economic pressures, but as we've talked about before, some of those are somewhat lagging. We don't get those today for today. We get those today for time in the past. Our general fund revenue projected to be $70.7 million, which is just 0.1% over the FY20 budget. And we also anticipate that the collection rates on real and personal property will also be declined from 99.475% to 99.1%. And coming up with that, council will recall we did have some conversation about whether that was even a reduction of that much, which is significant, was enough to anticipate the declines in collections because of COVID. If for some reason we missed that mark, as you'll see in a couple of other slides, we have projected sufficient fund balance to be able to carry us if in fact the revenues or the property tax collection rates don't equal 99.1%. But in coming up with that, Tracy Broyles and the budget staff identified that looking back 10 years, we've always been able to, the county on our behalf, has been able to identify collection rates of at least 99.1%. So we feel somewhat comfortable about that, but we do know that that is one that is a projection at this moment. And following ad valorem property taxes and sales tax distributions, which provide the largest source of funding, as reflected in this slide, we also wanted to share with you sales tax distributions. And so looking at FY20, it was projected that we'd collect 41.67 million. That is actually 4.5% below 2019, and it's actually 6.1% below the budget. Looking for next year, we're looking at an increase of 43.21, which is 3.7% above FY20, but it is still 2.6 below what we were anticipating in FY 2020's budget. You'll also see for utility tax distributions a similar trend, where we are looking at the FY 2021 collecting $13.2 million, which is 1.1% below the FY 20 projections, or 2.7% below the FY 20 budget. One of the things that we also share with the council as well is when we look at utility tax distributions, that is actually a declining revenue source for us as people get rid of landline phones at their homes. And so we've seen a decrease in that over time, and we would anticipate that that would continue as that trend continues, that people no longer have landlines at their home. So looking at the general fund intergovernmental revenues, one of the largest sources probably is our payment in lieu of taxes from PwC, which is based on 2.45% of their electric fund net assets. In FY 20, that was a little bit over $11 million. In FY 2021, we're looking at it being $11.4 million, which is 3.2% above FY 20. Some of the council members may recall as well that when we started working on Project Home Run, the Public Works Commission pledged $6 million over 5 years, which worked out to be an additional transfer of $1.2 million a year. This is the final year of that payment, which again totaled $6 million over a 5-year period. COVID-19 supplemental emergency funding as well. We're looking at that from PwC being in our budget, anticipating we would get $2 million for the current fiscal year and $2 million for the upcoming fiscal year, for a total of $4 million. If we get more, we'd be able to adjust our projections. If we get less, we'd have to come back and adjust the projections as well. I think the Public Works Commission is scheduled, sir, to do that on Wednesday. Is that tomorrow? Tomorrow, to make a decision about the city's request for an additional transfer. And so, again, additional revenue highlights for FY 21, it includes $3.3 million in planned loan proceeds for vehicle and equipment purchases in the general fund, $9.35 million appropriation from the general fund balance for non-recurring uses. This is a significant draw on fund balance in order to balance this budget. I think it was a 195% increase over what we pulled down last year. But again, in these unprecedented times, in order to balance the budget, we had to hold the line on expenses. We had to use fund balance, use CARES Act funding, and as you'll see in just a moment as well, we had to make adjustments, recommended adjustments to certain fees. But if all goes as planned, the projected available fund balance at the end of FY 21 is slated to be $22.5 million, or 12.87% of budgeted expenditures. Council, as you know, has a goal of 10% fund balance, and again, if at that level, that would be $5 million above council's policy of 10%, or it would be $1.5 million above council's goal of 12%. And so, as I mentioned, between fund balance use, holding the line on expenses, use of CARES funds, we're also proposing that we make the solid waste fund self-sufficient, and proposing a $35 increase, so that, or $2.92 per month, in order to return the fund to self-sufficiency for FY 2019, and it would eliminate the general fund transfer to support solid waste operating expenses. By doing this, we were able to take the money that we were sending to supplement the Environmental Services Fund and put that back under the main operating budgets. But we're also able to take money from the CARES Act that was, and supplement general fund dollars that previously were going to fund transit. And so we're able to consolidate those monies from those two funds back into the general fund for reallocation. The stormwater fee is not proposed to change. It is current fee is $6 per month per equivalent residential unit. There's no change recommended for the Central Business Tax District. And the Lake Valley Drive MSD, its tax rate is recommended to be reduced from 39.4 cents to 17.5 cents. As we discussed, I think with most of you, this would be the final year of the repayment of the Lake Valley Drive MSD loan. And so after this could potentially go away. There's also no proposal for a transit fare increase in this budget either. So taking a look beyond.
Before you go
just
into
revenues.
expenditures, I did have a couple questions.
Okay.
Since you're just now finishing revenues, so I'll go to Councilmember Dawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right, Mr. City Manager, would you explain sales tax revenue? Because later in this meeting, we're going to be discussing sales tax, but sales tax on prepared food, beverage, and ABC. Would you explain to the council and to anyone listening or watching? Is it clothing? Is it is it grocery food?
It's sales tax on things that we purchase. It's also things, but it is not on prepared foods. It's not on prepared drinks. It's a whole list of items that we all pay for on a regular basis, which are rolled up into the sales tax.
But it's not prepared food
It's
or
not prepared food or
beer.
Correct.
No beverage.
Correct.
And I'm assuming we get two questions on these. We're gonna do
Actually,
two.
if I could, we do have the budget work sessions, and I'd be happy to answer the questions now, but to
So-
drill down directly
So,
into.
so yeah, what we do, council, we'll just make sure that we've got it. So maybe we'll do one round in that. What we've done before is, maybe we could submit our questions to Ms. Broyles and to the manager prior to the work session on Thursday, because it's hard for them to answer some of the detailed questions on the fly, but we'll do one if we can, Councilman Dawkins.
Got one more question?
Yes, sir. We'll go ahead and let it fly and we'll.
You notate in here PWC, and they're gonna vote on something tomorrow. Have you received something in writing, about this, 2 million? Was that in fiscal year 20 and 2 million in fiscal year 21?
Yes, sir. Our proposal is if we receive the funds, what's on PwC's consent agenda for tomorrow is, I think it's $8-point-some million. $4 million would be available for us as some type of direct transfer, subject to working an agreement between, I think, Mr. Trago, Chairwoman Shaw, the mayor, and myself to figure that out. Our proposal would be that we would take $2 million in the current fiscal year and $2 million next fiscal year. They give it to us when they give it to us, but we would book it in those regards. The additional $4-point-some million is on the consent agenda as some type of advance loan against future transfers. And that is
At 0%, I'm assuming, in advance.
2-point-some, it's some figure, but I'll be happy to send that to the
Okay.
council from their consent agenda.
All right, so and this for 2 million in 20 obviously was not budgeted, and 2 million in 21 is not part of this budget.
It
You
is
just-
part, we had to come up with some number to do the budget, and so as what happened, we programmed in that we would get $4 million of the $11 million ask. And it worked out in that regard.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Hare?
Thank you, Mayor. And this may be a question, if I need to send it in, Mr. Manager, just tell me to. In that stormwater revenue, we have, of our full revenue income, 11% of that comes from stormwater revenue, correct?
Let me go back to the slide
Well-
that you're referring to.
Yes.
Okay.
Right there? Okay, so my question is, if this is something that can be asked, I think we set aside, and Councilmember Dawkins can probably help me with this, $1.5 million for a priority list. Wasn't that amount of the money that was set aside? So my question is, is how much of that money has been approved to be used in helping
For the drainage assistance program.
for the citizens? And if I remember correctly, that
you are the one that had the authority on what gets done and what doesn't get done in those communities, correct?
It is a recommendation, and I think it goes through the Stormwater Advisory Board, but we have a work session dedicated to that. I do know that there have been several of those drainage assistants, at least 30, that have come across my desk for us to sign. What I'm signing is a waiver and release so that if we do the work, we're not coming back later to, and someone saying that the work was done substandard. But we can definitely give council an update on the drainage assistance program.
And how much money has been spent?
We can definitely do that. We can definitely do that.
So, is that done, or do I get to finish up on this question, Mayor?
I think that was
That's
it,
done?
yeah. But write it down and,
Yes,
Any
I'll
questions?
send it in.
Yes, thank you,
It's
thank you.
all
important
right. Council, any other questions for the manager?
I think Mr. McLaughlin, did you? Okay, sorry.
Council, any other questions? All right, so,
Okay, I will roll through this part, which actually is probably a little bit more interesting. When we met with the council members, one of the things that, and I'm really saying this for the newer council members, the budget numbers can be interesting. They tell a story. Numbers really tell a story. But what really tells a story, and I think is a successful story, is how council develops a strategic plan, and from one council to the other, those goals, which are listed on the screen, and the projects which the council funds with the budget, those tell the story of who we want to be as a community. And every year, we spend a lot of time looking at the numbers. The numbers are important, no doubt. But when you leave here and a person asks you, what did you do, Mr. Hare, for stormwater? What you'll be able to say, Mr. Dawkins and Mr. Harris, we did a drainage assistance program for our citizens. Not that we cleaned a culvert on some street that no one knows about. And so when we look at the strategic plan, that's really where you guys are able to tell the story. This paints the picture of the community you want it to be. And so this is not an exhaustive list of all the things which are in the budget, but I think, as I like to call it, these are like the superlatives. So if someone says, what are you doing for my tax dollars, or what are you doing for the money we give you, like to point them to the strategic plan. And again, this is not an exhaustive list, but it is a list nonetheless of some of the things which is budget funds. As it relates to Goal 1, a safe and secure community, it provides $2.5 million for public safety pay increases, including market-based adjustments for police, fire, and emergency telecommunicator step plans. It provides $7.3 million in financing for the relocation of the fire station 4. Again, provides $1.3 million for the replacement ladder truck. And then it does a variety of things for traffic safety improvements. Many of them the council members are very familiar with, from the traffic calming measures to speed studies to the neighborhood multi-use lane markings, as well as $100,000 for improved pedestrian facilities at intersections. All of those are priorities that the council members have talked about in the last 6 months. Goal 2, responsive city government supporting a diverse and viable economy. There's $100,000 to continue the commercial corridor revitalization program that we did along Murchison Road. It continues $100,000 support for the Fayetteville Cumberland Economic Development Commission. It continues funding for the management of a downtown arts and entertainment district for services and programs. And as you know, we do have an RFP that was on the street. We only received one response, and we'll be putting that back out for a minimum number of days. But it is our hope that we believe as a staff that this is one of those programs that is better to be managed outside of city staff than it is necessarily by city staff. If you're able to get the right group to help manage this, they're able to multiply using volunteers more so than we are. But we hope to come back to council with a recommendation about how we would manage our downtown arts and entertainment district at an upcoming meeting. I think that's scheduled, Telly, it's at for June 5th work session? I think it's for the June work session. It also continues $35,000 annual support for SEED, which is a contract for service, continues implementation and support of the LSBE program, $100,000 increased funding for advertising incentives for flight destinations at the Fayetteville Regional Airport, and $434,000 continuing infrastructure improvements to Hurley Plaza across the street. I know it was getting late when you came in tonight at a little bit before 7, but if you've had a chance to look across the street when you came in, it is really coming along. The asphalt's been paved, has been laid. and we've cleaned up the entrance of Hurley Plaza a great deal over the last couple of days. Goal 3, investment in today and tomorrow. $4.4 million for pavement preservation funding, $3.5 million for stormwater watershed studies, $600,000 for drainage projects, and $500,000 for the Drainage Assistance Program. $999,000 to repair Ray Avenue, including use of funds remaining for the completed projects. This is going to be a fairly significant project that you will see over the next couple of months and maybe years. Around on Ray Avenue, right by Festival Park Plaza building, there was kept being a pothole that was there, and it's actually a sinkhole. We've got to go in and replace significant amounts of pipes that run under that road, and that's going to be quite an undertaking, and that may not be enough money for that project, but I did want to highlight that at the moment. $608,000 for various sidewalk improvements and $550,000 for a municipal agreement with NCDOT for the Bragg Boulevard Sidewalk Project. This will be looking at putting sidewalks all the way from Glenville Avenue all the way up to Skybo on Bragg Boulevard. That's a significant jog of sidewalks that we're going to be doing that in conjunction with NCDOT's work on that on Bragg Boulevard as well. Goal 3 also continues with $150,000 for bridge and dam safety preservation programs, $75,000 for downtown streetscape and sidewalk improvements, $42,000 to continue with land use plans and urban plan updates and implementation. Goal 4, a desirable place to live, work, and recreate. It provides operating funds for the new community amenities, including Lake Rim Pool, the Rowan Street Skate Park, continuous progress on the Parks Recreation Bond projects, $3.1 million of local funding to continue airport terminal renovations, $100,000 for partnership with the Cumberland County to fund strategies to assist homeless citizens, $42,000 for housing strategy development, $96,000 for park and playground improvements, $50,000 for the purchase of land and further development of a second dog park, $20,000 for additional community signage. I think, Mr. Hare, you're one of the subdivisions, your area is actually looking at that now to try to do a neighborhood or community sign. And we actually have funding in 2 spots in our budget to help those communities. Goal 5, financially sound city providing exemplary city services. $2.5 million for public safety pay increases and pay plan adjustments. $1.1 million for one-time bonuses for non-public safety employees in lieu of a pay increase. $1.2 million for required increases for employer contributions to pension and medical benefits. And it also adds a technology assistance asset specialist in our solid waste department to help us maintain the technology on those trucks. And this is one that is, we've talked about at least, Mayor, for 4 years. It started off, we talked about it being one person, one truck. And we're looking to fund 2 new code enforcement administrators to enhance solid waste code compliance and rapid response to community issues. At least weekly, I'll get a call from a councilman or someone in the community who says there's something that we need to take a look at in some place or the other. Our staff is already tasked with their workloads, and with this, it would give us the opportunity to kind of be a rapid response team. So whether or not it is someone who does a hold house set out, or whether it is someone who has a missed pickup, it would give us the flexibility we need to kind of respond to those changing conditions on a very quick and timely basis. But again, that is supported in this budget. Goal 5 as well adds a construction management and capital projects director, which we hope to be interviewing for soon. $4.7 million financing for the ERP system replacement initiative, plus backfilling positions to support the installation of that huge technology project. $2.5 million for a variety of other technology capital projects, money for the automated truck wash facility, $218,000 for an auxiliary fuel site, and $4.6 million for replacement of equipment and vehicles. And Goal 6, collaborative citizen and business engagement. It provides $300,000 to begin the process to conduct a disparity study, $48,000 to partner with the Friends of the Park for the operations of the Fascinate You Children's Museum, $56,000 support for the ASOM, $75,000 for the Arts Council in Cumberland County to partner on community arts programs, and $25,000 for our community rebranding efforts.
Before you go any further, I do have a couple questions. I have Councilmember Ingram, and then I have a question.
Thank you. I'll start with what you just stated in Goal 6. This disparity study, can you give more detail to what it's for?
Yes, one of the things that a disparity study looks at is, in addition to where you're spending your money, with whom you're spending your money. For a long time, the City Council has had an interest in making sure that we keep as much money, spend as much money locally as possible. And we actually received some additional legislation from North Carolina General Assembly in that regards. And Council has set an aspirational goal, as you may not recall, of 40% local spend. The disparity study looks at not only how much and where you're spending it, but with whom you're spending it to. And are there certain businesses or categories of businesses in our community that don't get a proportionate share of the city contracts? And a larger system, you're going to look to see whether or not you have, for instance, female engineering firms, or architectural firms, and whether or not, if there are any in our marketplace, are we doing any business with them proportionate to how they represent themselves in our marketplace? The same with minority businesses as well. So it's going beyond just how much you're spending, where you're spending it, but also trying to figure out if there is any disparity between the groups that you're spending the money with. And this has been something that the council, again, has talked about.
Years.
So this puts in place, and it's also one of the items that you guys discussed at your strategic planning retreat. But that's what it is, and it's going to be a huge undertaking, and it'll be multiple years. It won't be something that we would finish in a 12-month span.
Okay, so I guess my question would be, not to say that I'm in opposition of that type of disparity study, but I also see room for an income inequality and poverty disparity study. And I hope that's something council will be open to discussing as well. If we're talking about where we're spending it, do our residents even have the money to spend? So that's just kind of where I'm looking at. And going back to strategic planning, we know what poverty is looking at, and moving forward out of this pandemic, we know what it's going to potentially look like, even with that 900 annually before a pandemic going into poverty. So I think I would just ask council to be open to a inequality, income inequality and poverty disparity. Next point, I just really briefly, we are adding 100,000 commercial corridor revitalization, and I see that we have 430,000 for Hurley Plaza. To date, can you just say how much we've spent on the corridor revitalization?
Last year, this current fiscal year, the council allocated $100,000 for us to make loans to businesses along Murchison Road. Earlier this year, we came in, and I don't know that we had closed all of those loans, but let's see, Chris, if you're still here, how much have we? About half of it. And so the proposal is that we would replenish that money and try to go ahead and keep getting that money back on the street. At some point in time, we probably need to come back to council about defining or expanding the program to maybe other areas. But what we found in the past is that if you go too broad, you don't have enough to concentrate. It's never enough money to make a huge impact unless you really focus it. So this would be that.
Just really briefly, 100,000 has just been it for right now.
Yes.
Okay. Versus a plaza, which I see is $400,000. So we're trying to lift our major corridors, and we are only adding $100,000 versus a plaza, which is $400,000. I would feel more comfortable adding more money to our corridors than a plaza. I'm not saying the plaza isn't going to look great, because it is looking great, but if we're going to lift our corridors and also enhance the neighborhoods that are attached to it, I think that number needs to be raised a little bit more too. That's all I have.
All right, well, she said a mouthful. I'll echo all of that and agree with it. But I think what I want to make sure that you're clear, this is not, I think it probably could have a better name. I think this particular loan is for the money that they give to businesses versus improvement on the
And
corridor.
I still think
Oh,
there
okay.
probably should be
Yeah,
more.
okay. I just wanted to make sure we understood. Is that a part of the block grant funding?
No, that's actually general fund dollars.
was general fund,
And
okay.
so there are, and one of the things too, that it's not a forced choice. Out of $233 million, there is more money than $100,000 that goes to support those initiatives along the corridor. Council wanted to place a real emphasis on the businesses on Murchison Road corridor, and that was why, it was also in league with the $450,000 that we had for the Good Neighbor Next Door program. So all told, it was an investment that council made on that corridor in that area of $550,000, which is significant. Hurley Plaza, as you know, is part of Project Home Run, and it's just a capital project that we've committed to finishing to dress up that whole area across the street. But I understand your point about priorities from a capital project versus an investment in a neighborhood.
And very quickly, sir, under consider.
Councilwoman,
Okay.
it was just, yeah, okay. All right,
Mr. Mayor, I would, in answering her first point, the reduced poverty and homelessness is part of your strategic plan, what we talked about, and it is actually objective 4.6, and it is a continuing item. So you will actually see, council will see some continued or renewed focus on that as well. It didn't go away in the strategic
yeah.
plan.
So look forward to Thursday. So council, reminder, if we have some additional questions that we didn't hit tonight, let's email them so that the manager and Ms. Broyles are prepared for us on Thursday. I had a question about the solid waste proposed fee increase of $35. How much money does that generate approximately?
About $2.1 million, I think.
And there's a deficit of,
Well, the proposal is to create a fund balance of about $600,000 with the $35, so that if council chooses not to revisit this next year, that you will have enough money residual in the fund to carry you through next year as
I guess
well.
my point is, so this amount would generate $600,000 above to add to the fund balance or the savings account above what was necessary to operate the fund, right? So, in light of this being a year of economic stress, and we'll litigate this at the time, but maybe we can reconsider how we phase in to add money to the fund's excess and how we get there this year versus maybe putting the fees in over a longer period of time. But that's something we can talk about for a later day. I wanted to make sure I understood.
If I can add one point too, we went back today and looked. Some of the council members may remember that in March of last year, we actually reported back to council on our efforts to see whether outsourcing solid waste and the associated services was cheaper, or whether it was better for us, more economical for us to do it in-house. Looking at those figures today, the base bid, that did not include recycling. The 225 that's before you tonight includes recycling, limbs, furniture, dead dogs, everything. It's 225. That's the proposal for a single-family household. But last year, March 27th, when we brought this to council, the proposal for only for the green carts, not including recycling, was $252 from the lowest bidder. And so we are still, your point is well taken, and we had a healthy debate, and we look forward to discussing it with council why we recommended the $35. But at $225 divided by 12, it's what, the $18 a month? Literally, it is still a fee, though. That is correct.
Thank you. Councilman Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Most of my questions was answered. I'm elated to hear about the disparity study, money set aside for that, which I think is paramount. I appreciate that. The $100,000 for the homeless issue, I know we're not trying to get into the weeds right now, but that $100,000, does it go to a specific organization, and how's that money spread it out to help homeless people?
We actually, on Thursday, if we can squeeze it in, we have created a slide that talks about, it's really $388,000 that the city spends on an annual basis to support homeless initiatives. The $100,000, though, is our partnership with the county to fund, I think, the HMIS, Homeless Management Information System, and supported services like that. I keep looking back to Chris. Yeah. And so that's the partnership we have with Cumberland County. But there's an additional $288,000 of various support that we provide to the homeless, and That's probably going to need to be a topic of a special, one of the budget work sessions as well.
Yeah,
But that's $100,000.
Yeah, and given the COVID, the new normal, dealing with the most vulnerable among us, we don't know how long this is going to be in our community, our environment. So I think we need to kind of sit down, maybe do a workshop dealing with that, the monies that's in, whether there needs to be more money added to really impact our homeless community going into the future as to what we can do to get ahead of this COVID. So I just wanted to mention that as well. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Wright. Councilman, is it here again?
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. I'm doing mine through email.
Okay, sir.
I'm working it now.
Councilmember
Are you
Kinston.
sitting now, sir? Yeah, okay.
I will,
Thank you.
as
Councilmember Kinston.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have one quick question. On our goal for safety and secure community, there's $2.5 million for safety for pay increases, which includes the market-based adjustment. Can you kind of explain to the listening office or listening audience in reference to why the $2.5 million was selected? I see Chief Hawkins in the audience. I know she's come before us several times regarding the market-based adjustment, at least for the police. So can you expand on that a little bit for us?
Yes, ma'am. We had 3 groups under public safety that we were looking to make sure they remained competitive to help us not only with recruitment but retention of those highly trained staff. That, of course, is the police department, the fire department, and also our telecommunicators as well. And the $2.5 million not only addresses raising the minimum salary, starting salary, but it also addresses what would have been some compression. So if someone who just started goes from, let's say from the police department, starting salary is $34,500 or thereabouts. The new starting salary for before BLET is $38,000, but after 1 year, once they become BLET certified, it would go to $39,750. So right now you have some employees who may have been with us for a year or 2 years, and then you have, and so they may be at 36,000, and someone may be at 34. So when we move that lowest level person up to the 39,750, that person who was above them is going to say, you can't move us both to 39,750. So we've tried to, as carefully as we can, address that compression, which is what led to the $2.5 million. But just for an example, again, the police, after 1 year, we're looking at a starting salary of $39,750, which is at market for them. For telecommunicators and telecommunicator ones, the proposal is to go to almost $31,000 and $37,000 respectively, and fire to go to a $37,000 start from a $33,000 current as well. So this is what we feel is a significant investment, but it's also based on the market. One of the things that we were unable to do because of the lack of recurring revenues is to offer our traditional 2 to 3% for non-public safety employees. And so what we're proposing in the budget is a $1,500 one-time bonus for all other employees, which works out to be about $975 after all of the associated taxes, which for the majority of our employees is more than they would have made had they just gotten a 2% as well. And again, that being one time, but I can tell you that'll be something that the council and staff will probably have to revisit again next year as well. Because when you give to some and not to others, but everyone understands that we were dealing with recruitment and retention issues in public safety, and that is our #1 goal in our community.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank
All
you,
right.
Mr. Hewitt.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. City Manager, I'm going to email this, but I'm going to also say it. I would like to have, when we talk about sanitation fees, that we have that we know what our sister cities are doing, and more, not as much as, I do want the price of the comparison, but I also want the comparison of the service that we give that other cities do not give, because that is basically in this budget the only thing that is going up. And I think, especially for the new council members that have come in, sanitation has been a long and tedious subject for us, and to make sure that we get it right. So I think if we could have that, like I said, I am going to email it, but I did want to say it tonight to be prepared that I will be emailing that, especially the services that we give compared to our sister cities.
Thank you. That also came up in another conversation I had with another council member, and specifically it was, what is the value add? You know, and there are a lot of things that Fayetteville does amazing. But I can tell you, there is no other city I've ever lived in, or my colleagues I talked to, where you drag whatever to the road. And, I mean, just put it out, you don't have to call, and it's somebody else's responsibility when it goes out, whether it's code enforcement, so we don't pick up your windows for construction and stuff like that, but it's someone else's responsibility once you get it to the road. We really do need to, not this year in this budget, but we really do need to revisit that, because what happens is that we have unequal service for the same price. And so my neighbor, let's say, got a hot water heater or a mattress. We actually had a call today about 3 mattresses being somewhere. Most of you, when you buy a mattress and they have it delivered, you have the firm also haul that mattress away. That saves all of us money. But there are some people who literally, if we show you the records and the logs, which we want to bring this to you sometime in the early fall, that almost every week we are doing a bulky pickup. I mean, it is, there was one over on Brook, what was the street the other day? Blunt? What was the street? Brooke went out and took a picture, and it literally was above his head, the vegetative debris, and it was from here all the way to the wall. That's almost a whole truck. But that property owner didn't pay one thing for it. And this isn't even a hurricane or storm debris. People are just, not folks are abusing it, but again, some people are really using it, which council wants. But in an ideal situation, the more you use something, the more you may be asked to pay for it. Because as the mayor said, if not, we're going to continually see this fee go up and up and up. And council, as the policymakers, you're the ones that decide who, how much, and when and where. And so we'll be bringing that back to you as it relates to solid waste sometime this fall, we hope.
Thank you for saying that. And with that being said, I just want to play devil's advocate on it. We did have a very hard time keeping trash and things all over our streets. The more that we started this service, the more cleaner, I guess I should say, our city did get. And sometimes we sit there and think that it is trash everywhere, but we have gone a long way having this service to the scale that we have it at. So if we could have that when we are discussing sanitation, I'd appreciate it.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
We will. And as well as the 2 additional code enforcement rapid response things are also designed around that as well. Coming in today on Rose Hill Road, it looks like someone threw a bunch of styrofoam out on the roadway, and as you know, that could take 2-3 days for us to get somebody, but if you have these quick response teams. We'll look forward to talking to you guys about that at one of the budget work sessions. Any other questions? If not, Mayor, just want to talk about next steps.
Okay.
As we mentioned, we're going to have a budget work session this Thursday, May 28th. Dr. Manzo will be back with us. She wants to confirm with you the strategic plan, which along with the budget really does set the work plan for the city staff for the upcoming year. In addition to that, we want to cover pay at that meeting, and if there are any other topics which come up, we will work to try to get those ready for this Thursday as well. And then the subsequent Thursday, June 4th, and the following after that, June 11th, we've also reserved those for budget work sessions. And if there are any topics, I know stormwater is always one. The mayor mentioned the solid waste enterprise fund is one, and we'll schedule those as well. Tonight, we're also saying that council is asked to set the public hearing on the budget for Monday, June the 8th. And the recommended budget is available for public inspection in the office of the clerk as well as on the city's website. And we hope that council will be able to adopt the budget, the CIP, the TIP, strategic plan, and fee schedule on Monday, June 22nd, if all goes as planned. As the mayor mentioned, if you have any questions, if you would send those to Tracy Burrows and myself, we'll be preparing budget chronicles. So we take all the questions, answer those, and push them back out to the council, as well as post them on the city's website.
All right, council, any other questions for the manager? All right, look forward to spending our next 3 Thursdays together. So, We'll get it done. So let's email our questions in soon as possible. All right, Mr. Manager, you or Ms. Broyle is going to kind of just summarize where we are. This is item 8.02, item that one of the two items that were added, reference to the updated resolution on the additional tax distribution.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Before you is a resolution for council's consideration in support of legislative action to direct shared allocations of food and beverage tax proceeds between Cumberland County and its municipalities. It covers a lot of the same things that we covered with you before in the whereases, which is pursuant to the authority contained in Chapter 413 of 1993 session laws. Cumberland County Board of Commissioners levied a 1% tax on prepared food and beverages sold within Cumberland County, which is required by that law to be transferred to the Cumberland County Civic Center Commission exclusively for debt service and other costs of acquiring, constructing, maintaining, operating, marketing, and promoting the arena or expanded arena facilities. And then the whereases go down to say that how the money is used, and all of the current outstanding debt issue for the construction and renovation of the facilities is anticipated to be fully retired in 2024. It also talks about that Cumberland County exclusively receives the ABC mixed drink surcharge and profit distributions from stores within Cumberland County and its municipalities. There are 11 ABC stores in Cumberland County, and the majority of those, 9 of those, are actually located within the city limits. The Board of Commissioners recently requested a local bill, which is also attached in front of you, from the North Carolina General Assembly to extend the tax levy on prepared food and beverages sold within Cumberland County and its municipalities to be used for operating costs, capital maintenance needs, and retired debt service in the Crown. Whereas the city of Fayetteville is the only municipality of the 10 largest North Carolina cities that does not receive revenues from shared distributions from one or all of the occupancy tax proceeds, prepared food and beverage tax proceeds, or ABC mixed drink surcharges and profit distributions. And whereas residents of Fayetteville make up over 2/3 of the population of Cumberland County, and the city is home to the majority of the commerce for the county, as well as the Sand Hills region. And whereas the city of Fayetteville has made significant investments in downtown mixed-use stadium and supporting infrastructure, now therefore it be resolved that the City Council is opposed to any legislative action that extends the 1% tax levied on prepared food and beverages in Cumberland County, originally authorized to facilitate the financing of the Crown Complex. And now therefore it be further resolved that the City Council supports legislative action to amend the statute that authorizing the prepared food and beverage tax in Cumberland County to provide for a shared distribution of the proceeds of the tax between the county and its municipalities on a per capita basis in the same manner prescribed for the distribution of sales tax in North Carolina General Statute 105-472B1. And the City Council further requests that a share of the ABC mixed drink surcharge and profit distribution similar to all of the peer cities of the 10 in North Carolina. And so, Mayor, subject to any additions or deletions that you have in front of you, we would clean this up and make it ready if council approves it for your signature. Any edits, wordsmithing that we need to do on this, and get it over to, if the council adopts it, to the county and to our legislative delegation. As I understood, the interest is that we would like to invite the Cumberland, would like for the commissioners to meet with us to discuss this and for us to try to work this out before some legislative fix is put in by the General Assembly.
That's correct. Need to go to Attorney McDonald, make sure we're staying legal as we talk about these things.
I apologize, Mayor. Although the manager did say that the recommended budget hearing is for June 8th, we do need a motion by the council to set that for June 8th. So that's on
So that wasn't on our calendar adopted earlier in the year?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
All right, well, we'll get it done before you even answer that. We'll just, all right.
Thank you.
So, okay, so council, just to, okay, well, is that what you, I got her down. Was that what you were pertaining to? Okay. Okay, all right. Yeah, I had you down just once. Okay. Right, okay, all right. So, all right, tell you what, we'll split the baby with the bathwater. So it's a motion by Councilmember Wright, second by Councilmember Waddell. How about that? And then, any discussion on the motion? You have discussion? Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like, if you guys will amend the motion and to include that we use those fundings, a portion of those fundings to help with our homeless initiative.
Yeah, so we're coming to that. I've got you down. I got you down on my notepad, Councilwoman. So this is a motion to just set the date for June the 8th for the public hearing for the budget. So we should have wrapped it up during the previous discussion, but, Council, is there any other questions pertaining to that? And we all clear what we're voting on, which is to set the date for the public hearing for June the 8th. All right, all those in favor of setting the public hearing?
Was that approval of the budget?
No, sir.
Oh.
You didn't get off that easy. No. No, you got a long way home before we get there.
That was good, though. That was good.
Yeah, that was. That was the joke of the night, wasn't it? All right, now, Council. So the manager has presented, and we are now in this round of question discussion. We'll do one round. I'm coming to you because I know where you are. So I have Councilman Waddell reference question to this item, correct?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So my question is, have we had any conversations with the county in reference to this, or or is this going to be the first step? So has there been a call that has gone out? Has there been any communication to ascertain, what their mindset? I'm sure we all make assumptions, but have we had that actual dialogue before we submit this resolution? Because my concern is that if we do not start with a conversation before we do a resolution, it becomes, for lack of a better word, a battle instead of just a compromise. And it would be good if we can find the ability, and I know, again, we all have our assumptions, but if we can find the compromise so that we can bypass the battle.
So good point, Councilman Waddell. I can speak to that piece. We have reached out on numerous occasions, even after our conversation last week. Sent a letter, I copied council on it. I'll have clerk send it again, but letter last week asking the commissioner chair to, I told him that the council asked me to reach out. Hopefully we could schedule a conversation, because I think it all begins with a conversation. I don't think not one of the 17 of us want to impact our constituents in a negative way, but we have pleaded multiple times for conversation in writing. Yeah, ma'am. Hadn't had any luck with that, but I did receive a text about an hour prior to the night's meeting asking what the schedule for Friday is. Him and Commissioner Adams, Chair and Vice Chair, asked what the schedule for the Mayor Pro Tem were for this coming Friday, but that was the first response I had received to date. So, but good question. Councilmember Banks, McLaughlin.
Okay, now.
Ready for you now.
Yes, I would like to make a motion for council to adopt the resolution in support of the direct share allocation for the food and beverage taxes, and I would like to include that we used a portion of those funds for our homeless initiatives.
So Councilmember Banks McLaughlin, I know I've been putting you off, but I want to try to let us have a little conversation before we. Yeah, I'm coming to you. Okay. That's all right, but we got you ready. Is this Ingram? Councilwoman Ingram?
Thank you. So, I'll start by saying this and then ask my question. When talking about fairness and us not receiving monies, and I sat here and I was doing some research, and so I can see why a city would necessarily feel like it's not fair that we receive certain funding. So Mayor Colvin, I get your sentiment, but I also I know there are a lot of communities within the city of Fayetteville that would say, things are not fair, such as residents east of the river for not getting investment. But my question is, when we put this forth, are we sending them a plan to say, this is what we want to use the money for? Is that going to be a part of the conversation? And then a part of that, is there going to be a contingency plan to, if this bill does not go through, if this resolution does not go through, could we say, hey, county, can you just do a direct transfer to us? Is that even legal?
So you can hit the legal part, 'cause I don't profess to have a law degree. But what I would say is, counsel, I think this is the beginning of a conversation for whatever possibilities that we come up with. But
Okay,
I think
so
that
I will say, when we send this, or if we send this, I think we need to have a plan behind it. And I think we need to have a contingency plan behind that as well. As if this resolution does not go, I might be using the wrong terminology. If it does not go through, we need to figure out, county, can we directly from you to us? And also have a plan attached to it.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Davis?
Mr. Mayor, I have a question. Since we're talking about the sunset, we're talking about the sunsetting of this food and beverage tax. And I want to confirm, is it not true that certain representatives, to be specific, Representative Soka, Lucas, as well as I think Floyd, have already dropped this bill, requesting that the tax not sunset and affect leaving it in place? So we're talking about trying to talk with the county about something that they've already pulled the trigger on. Am I right or wrong with that? Or would this be an after-the-fact conversation we're trying to have while they've already had their representatives submit a bill to the state? Could you provide some clarity?
I would agree that, from what I understand, with the email received today, that the bill was introduced by representatives that you mentioned. I think that obviously there had been some discussion with them
In the county.
that excluded us. I would say that, yeah. Okay, Councilman Dawkins?
Thank you, Mayor Colvin. I think the council needs to be aware that 90% of these funds are generated inside the city of Fayetteville, and yet none of the money stays in the city of Fayetteville. It all goes to the county. Now, the county is responsible for health, education, and welfare. I can't support this pseudo motion that Council Member Banks McLaughlin made about we're going to use some of this money for homeless. Homeless is the responsibility of the county. They are designated by the state government, which is designated by the federal government. I'm getting very disappointed, and we're trying to ram stuff down this council's throat, saying that, well, we got to do this for the homeless. No, we don't. Now, I will support $100,000 for the homeless, absolutely, and I'll support even more than that, maybe $150,000. But I also want to see the county play ball. It's the county's responsibility. Yet all we heard was no. So, we're trying to work with them, and my guidance is we pass the resolution just like it is. We don't put any additional strings attached to it. We count on our mayor and Mayor Pro Tem to meet with Chairman Faircloth and Vice Chairman Adams. And let's come up with something that hopefully both boards can live with. And I do hope the legislature does not move that bill forward, because historically, since my cousin was there in 1959, the legislature doesn't move bills unless the two boards have agreed in principle for the particular bill. So, yeah, it's very concerning, and I'd love to see us crank back up the city-county liaison meetings, but my understanding is the last two have been canceled by the county. So it's very difficult to deal with the county, when we're trying, and yet I've been meeting with Zoom almost every day for, God bless, 9 weeks.
72 days, sir.
I wish I would have bought some stock in Zoom.
Don't say that. They're gonna have a judicial investigation in here, sir.
No, I didn't buy any.
all
No,
right,
Senator Burr might have, but I didn't.
Let's just, okay. All right.
Thank you.
So, Council, before we get too far in the weeds, I think that as I talked to Councilmember Ingram behind the scenes, so we're having two conversations right now. One is, are we opposed to the extension of this tax and other taxes, excluding us for the next decade plus? That's one conversation. Two is, I think we negotiate or have a conversation with the county if they're inclined to do so. I look forward to it. And then we have a conversation amongst ourselves as to what to do with the money. We have a long list of needs, which includes homelessness, which I think is a conversation that we can spend 2 work sessions on, Councilman Dawkins. I don't want you and Councilmember McLaughlin getting off on that. We're spending the paycheck before we start the job right now. So right now, this is an ask of our legislators to reconsider how this arrangement is fixed. Right. So I'll circle back to us. I'll come back to you, Councilmember. I know you had something to say. I just wanted to make sure that everyone had an opportunity to speak. I've got Councilmember Wright and then Kinston.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This resolution is past due, and it's something that should have went up 2 years ago more, and how long that the county has been using the ABC mixed drink surcharge with also the distributions, that we have not been getting any of that money to benefit the city going forward for its residents. And wholeheartedly, I agree with this resolution in that there are similar peer cities that have been receiving these funds and surcharges for many years that support the city going forward. And why, in God's name, we're not receiving it, I have no clue. But I've seen where the county has dodged the bullet many, many times and gone up to the state ahead of us to cut us off. And I'm just really at a point where I'm not understanding why the county would not work with the city to get this done. And so that's my little piece, and I'm not going to take it back.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Kinston.
Thank you, Mayor. One of the things that I would like to mention is, in looking at the alcohol, food, and beverage tax, is that in District 9, we have a lot of the restaurants that this actually is pulling revenue from. So I just want to definitely mention that. Like I said, we're looking at $6.7 million a year that could be used in the city to support our citizens, especially those that are soliciting those restaurants and bars and facilities in our area. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Hare.
Not that I need to give any history.
You have some.
This is not new. We have done resolutions, we have done emails, we've had mayors and mayor pro tems, we've had liaisons coming together on this very subject, okay? And it's just a resolution taking up our staff time to write and submit. I already know the answer, and you all will know, all of us will know real soon. It hasn't changed.
All right. Well, Council, I think we've all made rounds. I'll simply say this before we ask for a vote. We sent this up 10-0 last council. At the end of the day, whatever our positions are, whatever our points of views, whatever our priorities, our taxpayers, the people that voted for us, live in the city of Fayetteville, and they have done their job with passing parks and rec bonds. They've done their job funding baseball stadiums. They're doing their job, as he presented, increasing sidewalks and making Fayetteville a livable place, a hub for this region to draw people in. And we're not receiving any of the benefit from those actions.
None.
Whether it's food, to eat in those nice restaurants in District 9, whether it's engaging in wine and beer at a baseball game that they've paid for, we're getting nothing out of that, and that arrangement is unfair. So I think All we're asking for tonight is a resolution that we do not agree with their ask of the legislator to move this along without speaking to us. I think every one of us have said repeatedly that we would invite a conversation, which is where this is, to figure this out. But Fayetteville has paid its dues. Our citizens deserve a conversation and some answers. So that's what this is about tonight. I understand Councilwoman's interest. I think that, just my perspective, I think that a large percentage of our homeless people are homeless because of some substance issue, including alcohol, or especially alcohol. And I think that, to me, some of those dollars should go back to the root of the problem. So I think that's a conversation for a different day. But tonight, this resolution that staff has prepared says that. Councilwoman, I'll say on the record, I would support, personally, would support and help advocate for, if we receive the revenues, to put something towards some programming to help mitigate that and the people who are in that population that because of substance and problems, which again, Councilman Dawkins, it is a county issue, but it's a city problem. So I think that's where we are tonight, guys. So tonight, hopefully we can get a resolution to send up to our delegation to ask for not to pass that bill that has been submitted. So Councilman Wright, as I said, I see your hand. Is that who am I pointing? Oh, Councilman, okay, I saw him pointing. Councilwoman, it's on you.
Yes, I'm gonna make my motion again that I'm asking to adopt this resolution to support the legislative action to direct shared allocation of food beverages taxes, to include that we use some of those funds towards the homeless initiatives.
Okay, it's a motion by Councilmember Banks McLaughlin. Councilman, you have a second, Councilmember Davis. Any discussion on the motion? And the motion is to, as I understand it, repeat that, as I understand it, the motion is to approve this resolution with the addition that some of the proceeds would go toward homeless initiatives. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. That's correct.
Okay, so discussion, Councilmember Waddell?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just would like to say that while I do believe that we should be looking at how we will utilize the funds, I don't know if that should be a conversation for tonight. And I want to remind everybody that if this is the motion, and if we vote on this motion as it is, and it's a split motion, it's probably not very strong to send a resolution that will go up like that. And I do want to be very clear in saying that I don't disagree with what I'm hearing in terms of us needing to have some support of the homeless the conversation about our citizens who are facing or experiencing homelessness. I just don't know if this resolution is the time for us to be having that conversation. I think that it convolutes the ask that we're trying to make, but that is my comment about the motion.
Right. All right. Discussion on the motion. I'll go to Councilmember Wright. And guys, you know we've had one round, so I don't want to go another round.
So I kind of echo that, because once we make this motion, we want to go unanimously to the state. If one don't vote 9-1, you can forget it. It has to be unanimous. So I would say, Councilwoman Banks McLaughlin, if you could do a friendly amendment, and what I would suggest, just like Councilman Waddell said, there will be a time where we can break. Once we get the funding, we can have a work session. We can have a meeting to break down the fundings, where this funding is going. But the point where we're trying to do is get a unanimous vote going up to the state on the resolution. Period.
So let me ask the attorney something real quick. So Madam Attorney, could we vote on this resolution as it is, and then could the council have another resolution that basically states that, some of the usages, if in fact we're awarded this money, could include, something broad until we can get to a work session? So could there be two votes?
Certainly, if that's the inclination of the council.
So council, that's just for consideration, just so that we've got one resolution that's for the General Assembly for Raleigh, as written. You got another resolution that kind of pretty much allows us to make a statement publicly that we support that, because I don't want the two conversations to get confused. So I saw you raising your hand. I'll come to, did you have a question based on what I just? Yeah, I do. Okay, I think I had one hand. Let me get Councilwoman Ingram.
Oh, okay, really quickly. The money we get annually from PWC, we don't really attach anything to it. We put it part of our budget and we spend it, right? Is that
Revenues.
okay? So we're just adding another stream of revenue at this point. Is that what I'm understanding?
We're asking for that, yeah.
Right, but once it comes in, it'll just be another stream of revenue, and then once in, it'll be added to our account, and we just spend it as such, and then we'll say, all right, council, we have this much more money, and I get what you're saying, because I would want to see a plan attached to the additional funding, but the point I'm trying to make is, we don't really track the money that we get in from PWC like that. We do, but it's just another stream of revenue. So Mayor, can I just go ahead and add, can you make your motion to be, I would like to see your friendly motion to be to pass a resolution as is with council discussing at a later date, funding options,
Well, I think that's what I was proposing.
Expense
Yeah.
options.
So it'll be two steps. What do you say, Councilwoman?
Okay, well, my question was, I guess, to attorney. Now, you guys did mention, or city manager did mention with this resolution, if we could add something additional or we can delete something before it's sent. Was that correct?
Yes, ma'am. I noticed one wordsmith issue we need to take care of in it, that we'll clean up before the mayor's signature. I'm sorry. But hate to be long-winded because you didn't ask for all this, but I think that the intent from what we discussed last week and what you said tonight is you want a place at the table. And you're asking that the General Assembly, your local legislative delegation, say, hold on. We, as Mr. Harris said, have been asking for a share of these revenues for year after year after year. Representative Floyd was in this building 2 years ago and said that the time for us to make a deal was when this came up for renewal. That's what he shared with us. And so the time is now. And I think that looking at the legislation that was put forward, it, as the mayor said, is an extension for 10 years. And so what you're asking tonight is, can you not put forward or move forward until we've had an opportunity to talk with the county commissioners? And then anything that you want to do with the money when it comes. But I can likely tell you that based upon the creation of the language that was in the 1993, it was for entertainment, it was for things which add to the economy. And so that's why it was dedicated for the Crown. That's why we were looking for it to be dedicated to help us pay for the stadium. That's why the county's looking for it to help them pay for the Performing Arts Center. It is generated on entertainment and on tourism and those issues. And the General Assembly, if they modify the language to extend it and allow anybody to have it, they're likely going to require that money to be used for those types of purposes, just like they did in 1993. But that does not stop the conversation what I've heard about you guys doing something different with other revenue sources, or even asking, you could ask the question. But in all likelihood, 93, which I wasn't in the community then, but for the folks who were, it was about entertainment dollars going to pay for an entertainment venue.
You didn't answer my question, city manager. No, so again, my question was, would it be an issue to include this with the resolution? Because again, you mentioned that we can add or delete something out of our resolution.
Yes, ma'am. Y'all can add it if you would like.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
So, Councilwoman, I guess the consideration is, did you get the answer first of all? All right. So, have two options, I think, is what asking for consideration, since you made the initial motion for this. Two options are, one, we could pass this resolution. Hopefully it sends a strong message. This is what is forwarded to Raleigh. And then there could be some secondary resolution or motion to consider a resolution that stated that discussions with, if you're awarded the proceeds, or if the county and the city have an agreement that you would do X, Y, and Z. Is that something that you would entertain, to be able to split that, just so that the General Assembly knows what our ask is clearly.
Yes, if we separate it, I would like to request that we go ahead and agree to set aside or appropriate a certain amount of funds to go towards the homeless initiative.
Okay, so council, I'm getting confused on the list. Is this you?
I think I just heard city manager say, as of right now, and it kind of jumps back to Waddell's point about if we send the resolution up. But if we send a resolution up, and not to say that I'm not support, if we send a resolution up that speaks outside of the terms
Right.
of what it's set for, they probably just gonna send it right back.
Well, that's why she.
So if it's not entertainment, what's the point of them looking at, like, and I get what you're saying, but if it's not entertainment, and as city manager said, we just want a seat at the table. If we're asking for this resolution plus homes, and I'm not saying that we don't need to be asking, but right now I think we just need to get it up there. But if I'm understanding, the initial of it was entertainment venues, and in economic growth. How does that work if we send a resolution up?
It was not like occupancy, which said 1/3 has to go to Convention and Visitors Bureau to bring people to your community. This was project specific. They said, you build this Coliseum, this is your extra 1 cent tax to pay the debt and to keep for capital costs. And so now they're asking for a renewal to change those rules.
Okay.
To expand it to other things, and that is where this brought our conversation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, so council, again, clearly, let's separate what we're asking. There's a resolution before us tonight. The last 2 lines of this, I think, sum this up. It says, now be it resolved, the city is opposed to any legislative action that extends this 1% tax that was originally authorized to finance the Crown Complex. That's one paragraph of what we're asking. Second paragraph is, the council supports legislative action, which was submitted last year by Senator Clark, to amend the statute that authorizes food beverage tax in Cumberland County to provide a shared distribution for proceeds of that tax. And we have named all of the other taxes. So all of you saying, one, I oppose this bill that has been introduced today to extend and change, and 2, we're supporting a bill that shows distribution, okay? At the end of the day, the whereases just kind of explain the story, but it's the now therefore resolved, right, Madam Attorney? That's correct. My law degree did pretty good, didn't it? All right, so council, let's vote on, this is what's before us tonight. So we'll have to have an up or down vote on that. Hopefully we will send a strong message that we are asking them not to do that without a discussion with the city, okay?
Motion?
That's where we are.
You
Need a motion. Then we can come right back behind it for whatever else. So we have to, so Councilwoman Banks, are you agreeable to withdraw that until we separate these?
No, I would like to separate it. However, I would like to motion first that we have a discussion on as far as setting funding to the side once we receive this funding.
So what we need to do is then.
I would like to motion to vote on that first.
So she said she separated it. She wants to have her motion heard first. Is that what you're saying? So you'll amend it. So repeat your motion that you'll agree to separate it. So make your motion about the one you want heard first. These are 2 separate now.
Okay, my first motion is I would like to amend the motion that I previously put out there. I would like to motion that we adopt a resolution with the food and beverage and include the use of the funding or portion of use of the funding to go towards the homeless initiative.
No, that's the same. Yeah. So we've got to separate that. Yeah. All right. And then we'll clean. Then with someone else can propose. Okay.
No,
all right. So,
no, it's my motion.
yeah. Yeah. So we got to get you a second. Let me get it. Let me see if it was the second. So.
Hold on.
Oh, well, she had a second because we had discussion, correct? All right. So her motion is to, as stated, the way I understand it, was to approve the resolution, but include an appropriation specific.
Okay, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and vote.
Let me know.
Well, that's her motion. So clarify, please.
Let me clarify. Sorry for the confusion. I would like to make a motion that council, we go ahead and vote right now on using those funds to use a portion of it to go towards our homeless initiative from the food and beverage.
Okay, all right. So there's a motion. This is an amendment to the resolution, okay, that is before us. So this is a motion to amend the resolution to include allocation for homeless initiatives. So this is not what we're voting on here. This is an amended version, which includes homeless allocations. There's a motion on the floor. Who was the second on that, Ms. Pam?
Davis.
Do you withdraw your second, or do you agree to the amendment?
No, the amendment is what again? What's the amendment?
To add the homeless initiative language to this.
I thought we said we were gonna.
Well, we did, but
No. It was separated. The first motion that I would like to make, again, is to use the fundings from the food and beverage to go towards the homeless initiative.
So there's a straight motion to take revenue from the food and beverage and to use it for homeless initiatives. Has nothing to do with this. That's the motion on the floor, according to her amendment. Do you accept her amendment?
I second that, yes.
Okay, so, council, any discussion? We've had discussion on the motion. The motion is to ask for a resolution to utilize food and beverages for homeless initiatives. So, those in favor? You have a question? It's time to vote, ma'am.
I'm sorry, Mayor, I do have a question. So I just want to make sure, is it a percentage or is it the full amount? Can you specify that?
No, it's not the full amount. I would like for that to be for discussion. But right now, it's just voting for us to spend a portion of it.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor. It's not this resolution, let's be clear. This is a motion to utilize food. This is not this, y'all clear on the end?
Yes, we're clear. This is not the resolution.
Okay, all right. So there's a motion on the floor.
Just to be clear, it's to use a percentage of those
I understand.
funded ones. Okay, I just want to be clear.
Right, but that's not what this is.
Right, and it's going to be, and I have a second motion.
Well, you have a second on this motion. Then I've got someone else who's
vote.
Yeah. So council, we clear. All right. There's a motion by Councilmember Banks that's been amended, seconded by Councilmember Davis, not on this resolution, to utilize funding from food and beverage proceeds if awarded for homeless initiatives. All those in favor? Hands? All right. Hands for in favor? All right. All those opposed? All right. Madam Clerk, that is 2-8. Motion dies. Mayor Pro Tem. All right. Councilman Wright, both of y'all are pressing buttons and hands. So.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion that we send up this resolution as written it's kind of extensive. The city manager said there will be a few tweaks in it, but as far as what we have been presented tonight, I make a motion that this resolution on the mixed drinks surcharge.
Resolution R 2020 correct?
Yes.
Resolution.
Second, Mayor. R 2020.
Is that the number you all have allocated to this?
No, it doesn't have a.
No, it doesn't.
So the resolution that's in our packet, correct?
Yes. I'm making a motion on the resolution that we were presented that's in our packet tonight be voted on and sent up to the state.
All right. There's a motion by Councilmember Wright. There's a second by Councilmember Hare to approve the resolution that we've been discussing as presented. Is that a question? Okay.
I just want to make sure that, because I got really, we will discuss usage of funds at a later time.
Absolutely.
That's all I want to know.
Yeah. This is just saying we support, we oppose the legislation that's been passed, and we ask for equitable distribution, and we will come to the
Now we're on
table.
the resolution.
All right. All right. There's a motion on the floor by Councilman Wright, seconded by Councilmember Hare, to approve the resolution with the ask with the message that, as stated, opposition to an expansion of the current food beverage tax sunset, and to ask for distribution of some of the proceeds, which we will determine specifics at a later date. All right. Any other questions on that? All right, those in favor? All right. Council, Madam Clerk, that is 9-1. Motion carries. So we'll get this signed, get it up there. Council, I will let you know about if there's a meeting set up and what the outcomes our next meeting. All right, item 8.03, Business Council.
Yes, sir, this will be Chris Colley, the Assistant Director for Economic and Community Development.
All right, sir.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
So this item is an amendment to the contract that we executed a week and a half ago. The original contract language said that borrowers must not have a recent bankruptcy or substantial charge-off per their credit report. This amendment is requested by SEED and gone through the Business Committee in order to give them some additional leeway to lend the minimum amount of $2,500 to people who have good history of paying on bankruptcy settlements.
So just to make sure I'm clear, and we do have a couple questions. In lending, businesses restructure, what have you, or people who declare bankruptcy are given second chances for credit to rebuild and get on a pathway back to success. So what you're saying is that, Dave, I've seen some scenarios to where businesses have had a hiccup previous years, may have had bankruptcy, which remains on your credit 7 to 10 years, but have now shown significant signs of improvement. But instead of them qualifying for the maximum $5,000, we're asking that they could qualify for maybe $2,500. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
So, just before we go to questions, I certainly could support that, being that these businesses who are applying for this money are in a situation that they had no control over. And so I think that you guys know what the determining factors of cash flow and repayment, because certainly previous history, just like whether it's credit history or criminal history, whatever your history is 7 to 10 years ago, you could certainly recover from that. And so I understand your ask and personally supportive of it, but we have some council members that have something to say. Councilman Hare?
I got, just to clarify, the attorney kind of tapped me on my shoulder.
She
So
tends to do
under our
that.
current contract, those businesses would not qualify at all. So they would be turned away from SEED.
So unless this is amended, okay.
That's correct.
All right,
yes.
gotcha. All right, Councilman Hare?
Yes, Mayor. Sir, tell me, is there, and I know that you all are going to be coming back to us, what, is it weekly?
Yes, sir.
Weekly? Okay. So that's a very, very big plus, because we need to hear from you. Is it anything within the objectives where we would know how the person heard about the loan? Because one of the big concerns, at least for me, was to make sure that it was a wide spectrum across the board where a lot of folk from all areas of the city were made aware of the loan and had the opportunity to apply for the loan, and just not in a certain area. So what my question is it anything, and I don't remember on the application, is it anything within that application that states where the person, when they call in, they can say how they found out or heard about the loan?
So just like you, sir, I don't
Yes.
recall that being in the application.
Yes,
We
a
can
form
make
of
that.
tracking. Then, if possible, council, I would like for us to consider that as to be also one of the objectives. Then that way we can kind of know, because we want to hear from different folk, Yes.
Well, say that part again, Councilman Hare?
One of the concerns that I've heard in the community is making people aware of the loan.
Oh, okay.
That
gotcha.
not just certain area or a certain group
Right.
hears about the loan. So if we could track how people
Oh, yeah.
are hearing, then that way we'll know if the marketing efforts that we're doing or that SEED is doing, so that we can get that kind of feedback, because we want to make sure that not just a certain corner of people, but all of the citizens of Fayetteville are made aware. That is being done? Yeah.
All right.
That is.
I got you,
He said
Councilman
no,
Dawkins. I
but
got you.
We'll make sure and report it.
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Councilman Ingram. Councilwoman Ingram.
Thank you. Mr. Colley, I have a few quick questions. One, let me just say, I know when we initially voted on this, one of the concerns that I had was we were always going to the same partners. And I think which taps into what Councilmember Hare was saying as far as that tracking, we needed to go outside of those partners. A lot of those partners that we use, you have to pay a fee to be a part of their organization. And so one of the concerns that I had was going outside of those partners to make sure we were getting a broader reach. So my next piece is these weekly updates, who are you updating to?
So we'll start sending those to email to council on a weekly basis.
Okay, thank you. My next piece is for those that have
Go ahead.
those that have been denied, what other reasons are they being denied outside of this bankruptcy piece? Can you tell us, or will that be in our update? You said it was coming this week, an update, and will we know why businesses are getting denied?
You have an answer for that? Okay.
Councilmember Ingram, as of right now, no one has been denied that has gotten all their paperwork in. This is something that we have found out that could be, that we can help. You know, they have good credit scores, just some back things that have happened, and this is how we figured we could help the situation, so we are not denying. I will say that there has been one person, I need to take that back, that has been denied. They were not a city resident and their business was not in the city, but SEED got them over to the county and they got their assistance through the county.
Okay, thank you. And we're getting updates this week.
Yes.
The council, thank you.
And council, as we talk about this, remember as we talk about our intent, remember we had stated that these loans were not credit based necessarily. That you have to. They asked for a credit score, but it was not used to determine your situation.
Well, Mayor, I wasn't talking about credit.
I know. I'm just reminding us that denials based on credit were not a part of it because they just had to turn that in as a checklist to receive funding, correct?
The contract said that if they had a recent bankruptcy or charge off, they were disqualified.
Which is why we're talking about this,
Exactly,
because of the
yes.
bankruptcy language. Okay. All right. I got you, Councilmember Waddell. So Councilmember Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Colley. Just was a quick question. New businesses that's been opened in the city that has not really got off the ground per se, but they have a location, they're doing business, they're open, they're new, but they don't have a lot of, revenue, they have a lot of customers yet. But yet this COVID has hit them just the same as it has hit. So they're pretty trying to survive out of their pocket. Do those businesses qualify for this type of loan, and will they be accepted just like any ongoing business have been established? I've got several calls of businesses, and some in the downtown area, that didn't get a response back from you guys or something, and had heard later that your office had actually reached out to other companies to make them aware, but they wasn't made aware. So how are we dealing with new businesses? I just want to say that.
So they may be qualified, and if you have folks, send them to me. We'll make sure they get talked to.
I certainly will do that. All right. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Councilman Dawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd requested, I wanted to read page 2. Page 2 is not in our packet, so if somebody could read, it starts on page 1. Borrowers must not have a recent bankruptcy or substantial charge off per their credit report, and substituting with the following: borrowers must not have a recent, and then that's where it ends. So I'm assuming there is more verbiage, and if you could tell us what it is, then the Mayor
Yes,
Pro
they-
Tem may make the motion, or I
Yeah,
can make the.
You are correct. That's not in here.
There's a page missing.
Yeah, so I can't do it verbatim, but
You probably got it on your phone, though.
I can look it up. That may take me a minute. I'm not quite the tech savvy millennial. Borrowers outside of these perimeters may be considered for a minimum loan amount of $2,500 if they meet other parameters, such as and this is not the verbatim part, but if they have a good track record of paying off on bankruptcy and dealing with charge-offs.
I just want to make sure that the council is comfortable with that wording. I really don't like voting on something when I don't know exactly what it says.
I'm going to get the verbatim, sir.
All right, we'll come back to you,
Thank you.
Councilman Dawkins.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Kinston.
Thank you, Mayor. And K comes before W, Councilmember Wright. So you did touch on my question. So I just want to follow up on it a little bit. So I want to make sure that I understand. So you're saying that if it's a new business that has not established a credit score, that has just recently opened, that they are able to apply and they're not automatically denied based on the fact, because I know a business that recently opened had less than 30 days and they had to close. So my question is, I want to make sure that those new businesses that really are going to need some assistance, that when they apply, that they're not automatically given a no and given the opportunity to be able to take advantage of this emergency bridge loan.
Yes, ma'am. So we're not going to turn anyone away. SEED is not going to turn anyone away out of hand. We have other partners in the community, like the Small Business Development Technical Development Center. We have a lot of resources that we can connect people to. So I do not expect for SEED nor my team to turn away someone without giving them other avenues to success.
Okay, and I do understand that, but when you say you're not going to turn anyone away, so can you elaborate exactly what that, we're not turning anyone away?
Right. So for the programs that my office directly oversees related to federal funds, they may not qualify on every single piece of that. They may or may not qualify for the program that SEED is doing, but if that is the case, they will understand why they don't qualify and they'll get additional resources.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, did you all find an answer for Councilman Dawkins?
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right. So borrowers must not have so the original language was borrowers must not have a recent bankruptcy or substantial charge-off per their credit report. The substitution would be borrowers must not have a recent bankruptcy or substantial charge-off per their credit report. Borrowers outside of these parameters may be considered for the minimum loan amount of $2,500 if they meet other parameters.
Okay.
All right, Councilmember Waddell.
Have mercy. Thank you, Mayor Colvin. I'm sorry, what was your name, sir?
Chris Colley.
Chris, I'd want to understand, when we entered into this agreement, we entered into the agreement with SEED. I want to understand why you're presenting on the contract versus somebody from SEED. So what is your involvement with this? Why isn't SEED here this evening?
So I'm the Assistant Director for the Economic and Community Development Department, so we oversee that contract. We oversee SEED's operations and monitor their adherence to contracts, whether it's the funding from the city or the funding from our Community Development Block Grant.
So you do that on behalf of the city for all things concerning SEED, your office does, or for this in particular? Because that's new information to me.
Yes.
For all things
I'm
concerning
not aware
SEED.
of any other partnership that SEED has in the city outside of our department.
I was under
But
the
you
impression
didn't understand
that-
her question. She says, you're representing, you need to clarify that. You're representing the city as it relates to its contracts with SEED, all contracts related to SEED, not you're representing SEED under all things SEED, correct?
Yes, that's a.
So you
No,
need to clarify.
That's what I understood, but I guess I thank you for the clarification, but that is what I understood. I think I missed the part where we didn't have the direct connection to SEED, that we had somebody acting as an agent on our behalf. I missed that part, so I'm glad to know this evening. Thank you.
Community development. Yeah,
He's the assistant director.
I'm sorry, because I thought you were working with Van Giens. I thought that's the economic.
No.
Okay, all clear, okay.
he kind of looks like Robo, doesn't he?
That was the nature of my call. I was
Yeah.
trying to figure out how Van Gien's office became the intermediary between.
I'm city
Thank
staff.
you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's why I'm getting the blank stares. Everybody at home, I got it now. I got it.
You one of us.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mayor, you good, Madam Waddell? All right, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to make a motion that I'm not even prepared for it. That I make a motion that we request to amend the emergency bridge loan contract, that we allow to change, help me out, but I don't want to say that in the, as presented by Mr. McCauley, right?
There's a motion by Mayor Pro Tem to approve the contract amendment with SEED to allow for these changes as discussed. Amendment to the language. There's a second by Councilmember Davis. This is the corner down here. I mean, we're gonna have to deal with this corner. There's a second by Councilmember Davis. Any discussion on the motion, council? All right, all those in favor, hands. All right, Madam Clerk, that's 9-1. Those voting in favor, Davis, Dawkins, Banks, McLaughlin, Wright, Colvin, Jensen, Hare, Ingram, and Kinston. Those voting in opposition, Councilmember Waddell. All right, motion carries. Council, you did good, and we didn't have a bathroom break. Can I get a motion to adjourn? All right, y'all have a good evening.